Hello legends and welcome to another deck review with me, Lima, on Broken Arrow. Now, look, I've tried to build quite a few decks with Russia, and as you guys know, I'm primarily a Russia player. Now, this is just because I find it works better for me, and America, I mean, I have tried quite a few different combinations, but it just doesn't, I don't seem to be able to play it well. Like, sometimes I do, but mostly not so much. Now, the deck I want to go over today is my latest assault deck, which, I'll be honest, I've had a lot of fun and I've had a very, okay, only one, but one very, very successful game with this deck. So let's, as always, go through the Recon tab. I'll show you some clips. I'll edit some clips into this of when these work fantastically and when obviously not so much. Snipers, as you guys know, I absolutely love snipers because what caliber is that bullet actually, out of curiosity? 12.7, basically 50 cal. Yeah, 50 cal sniper for the Russians there. These guys look pretty cool. I like to have eyes and ears everywhere, obviously with the stealth. On the trend of eyes and ears, this is a great bit of kit. So this BRM is actually really good because that 57mm cannon deals with light vehicles and, well, even moderately armed vehicles. It actually helps with deal with tanks as well, especially if you manage to hit them in the side. And these attack and missiles which fire basically at the same time. So there's only two, but they are still pretty good. I thought about just the 57mm gun. I mean, it's only an extra 10 points to get a couple of ATGMs as well. 30mm cannon is fine, but it's just a bit pointless, to be honest. You could go for this option with the lower armor, just to have it as a scout vehicle, but it's pretty slow and, well, a lot of the units are slow, to be fair, in this deck, but I don't know. I prefer this setup for definite. Now, I brought some of these guys along, basically, only because they cost 50 points, and what I actually want is this vehicle, which is really cool. It's very similar to this, apart from it's got ECM of 30%, which I found to be actually pretty effective on vehicles in terms of missiles and ATGMs missing. 30% ECM is definitely not something to scoff at because it works, and the armor is decent, especially for a light vehicle. It can carry 7 men in the back, which is decent. You definitely want the reactive armor package because otherwise it's, I mean, anything's gonna slice through it like butter. And in terms of the weapons, I've already got the 57mm cannon, and I've got it in other setups as well. So I could get it again with the cornet. I mean, this is actually very tempting to do, and I think I've done it in the other tab. But the 100mm cannon is also pretty effective. It can do a decent amount of damage, especially as it fires this Recon rocket out of it as well, so 100% accuracy on that, which is cool. The default is a bit okay. It's still pretty decent actually. I didn't realize. Oh, hello. This is interesting. I see. The reason I've gone for this as opposed to just the default, which the default itself is still pretty good. I didn't realize that. But for that ECM, these things are not ECM. They're infrared sensors, so I'm not really sure why the game portrays them as ECMs, and that's why I haven't gone for this module, because again, I like the 30% ECM. Anyway, other options I could go for is this. I think it's a bit pathetic, honestly. Even upgraded, the armor is futile, the range isn't good, the stealth is awful, and the speed is appalling, so do not go for that. T90 Razvedka, sorry, Nakitka, can't you call it the Razvedka? Razvedchik, which means, well, a reconnaissance, a scout. Nakitka means like an overthrow, which is what this is. Yeah, I mean, it looks really cool, that's for sure, but unfortunately, the stealth isn't there. It doesn't have any APS, which makes it a very expensive tank that doesn't add much, if anything at all, really, to your build. So I like it, but I'm not going to build it. It's too expensive. Right, infantry. So obviously you want the T-15 Barbarous. So yeah, as I should have said earlier, obviously it's got the Gvardia and the monetised, but the different version. I keep forgetting what it's called. Wait, sorry, I'll quickly look up for you. Mechanized infantry. I mean, in Russian they're both called monetised. Motorized, mechanized infantry. It's basically the same word in Russian, interestingly enough. Anyway, sorry, back on target. Right. Assault 3. Infantry. Guardia. I've not actually had too much luck with them. They are supposed to be like one of the best infantries, but they're just not. But the 2 machine guns do a decent amount of damage. They're 762, I believe. Yeah. And these RPG-28s are pretty decent if you manage to hit them. But what I really love about the infantry tab is these T-15s. Fantastic. Also really funny if you play against Russia v Russia and these two just fire at each other's face with no damage. It's pretty funny. Bit of a meme. I used to think that you could have the T-15 like this to make it a little bit cheaper, but honestly this Kinjal, which is a type of sword, this setup is 100% what you need. Do not cheap out on this one. It makes it way less effective, so you definitely want this. That 57mm gun is fantastic, especially for dealing with helicopters as well. Now, these guys, I think, are underrated, because honestly, these RPG-29s are fantastic. Firstly, because you get 2 of them. You get 12 shells, which is great, and the fact that they're only 70 points makes this unit very, very cost-effective. Fantastic. I've had a lot of fun with these guys, and honestly, they take out even Abrams tanks quite well, because what you do is not just 2 squads. You actually stick as in not 2 launches, but you get 2 squads. That's 4 launches for 140 points. That's fantastic, honestly. And they will rip tanks apart. I've actually put all 4 squads in one building, and they destroy tanks like that. Now, they're on this vehicle, which, unlike the earlier one, hasn't got the 30% ECM. However, it's got the 57mm gun. So having that mix of these vehicles will be quite good. It's also got these rockets, which, again, I've not had too much success with actually dealing against stuff. I mean, it's an anti-tank missile, but only it's got 300 penetration. I mean, like, what's the point? But, you know, and usually this thing fires at infantry as well, so yeah, it does fire against infantry, right? Yeah, infantry and vehicles. It's a nice little addition, but it doesn't do too much. But hey, it's included in that setup, so why not have it? Cornets obviously are cornets. They do a decent amount of damage. Next is the Verbers. You need some man pads, and the Verber is, I think, the best man pad AA in the game. It is effective, it just works. You know, some of them are like a bit hit and miss. This one is just hit. It hits all the time. And actually the Spetsnaz GRU can bring 2 of them, which makes the Spetsnaz GRU a very, very, very good option with the double Verber setup now, as opposed to AT and AA. However, I bring them in the B10. I like this vehicle. It's basically just a taxi. It's 45 points. It's pretty cheap. It's not the quickest. Obviously, if you want speed, you go for the VDV or potentially coastal with the BRTR 90s. And if you want even more speed, then you go America Special Forces, because that's where the RSOVs and the little birds are. I haven't upgraded it because I want to keep it as cheap as possible. And to be honest, the APS is good, but I don't think it's worth it. I'd rather just keep it as a transport, and putting this on it doesn't make it better than... Basically, the options are have this setup with the APS, or have this setup with nothing. And I think I actually prefer this. It's got thicker armor, especially when it comes against heat, and this has also got more health. The speed is slightly slower, but not very relevant in my opinion. So I just have it set up as a little troop ferry. Now, other options that I could have gone for are these double AGSs. They are cool. I like them. They're cheap as well, which is also a win. So that is something you can consider. However, I've not gone for it. Штурмовики, the engineers. I mean, they look mega fucking cool, to be fair. However, this does nothing. I've had so many of these fire at my tanks with literally zero damage, because as you can see, it's not very effective. This is against infantry. The only reason you have these guys is to clear out buildings. These flashbangs work great. This little whatever this, oh, it's an automatic shotgun, obviously does fantastic damage. So at close range, these guys are lethal. Otherwise, they're not your general sort of GI, general infantry. You'd rather these boys, in my opinion. These are good and cheap, however, these are better, so there's no reason to change really. And also interesting that the caliber of these machine guns is the same, but the range is shorter on this RPK. It is a light machine gun, basically an extended AK-47. Monetised with the Igla. The verb is better, there's absolutely no need to bring this squad. These boys are cool, especially when you get this, but again it's anti-infantry and you only get 4 of them, so I'd rather have those. Faggot, that is not an insult, but essentially the range is just too short to make it effective. I'd rather have a vehicle firing at other vehicles. It doesn't make the squad great bang for your buck, even though there is 2 of them, which is nice. A couple of machine guns, sorry, 3 machine guns, that's a treat. Not worth the squad, even if you give them cords, which makes it the couple. Now that could be worth it, because essentially you get 50 cal machine gun fire. These are cool, again, you'd only use them for clearing out buildings, so potentially not even worth it. I wonder if that is... no, that can still be destroyed by APS. The only one that can't be is the RPG-30, and that's the... not the Desantniki, the Diversante. So, onto the more exciting part of the deck, the vehicles, basically the tanks, because this is what the deck is built about. I used to have these T-72s, but they are just way too easy to destroy. They don't have any APS, and the armor is not that good. So, they used to be a good option for me. And in all fairness, you can get 2 tanks, potentially 3 if you jig the deck around slightly, for the same price as a T90, but I would rather the T90. It's got a lot more firepower. And these T90s are fantastic. Really, really great. Honestly, I love these T90s. It's potentially my favorite tank in the game because of the bang for your buck. 230, 30% ECM, and like we said, it actually is pretty effective. It also has pretty decent armor and a very, very decent, reasonable gun. So, including a rocket, by default, I do opt for the upgrade, even though it's not potentially necessary, but you do get extra speed, extra range, extra health, and extra armor, obviously. So, that makes it worthwhile for me, and a slightly better gun, just for the kinetic rounds that it fires. So this is honestly a fantastic tank. Usually I'll have 6 of these and 4 for when I do my classic Soviet pushes. So we've looked at the T90, obviously it's a great tank all round. It's better than the T14 Armata just because of the price effectiveness. I mean, that's in these 2 builds, that's sorry, the price difference is 70 points. I don't know why that took me so long to work out. And the effectiveness is pretty much, it's almost identical. There's marginal difference. I mean, look at the damage on the shells. It's pretty much the same. The range is the same. You get slightly more health points, slightly more visibility, and it's faster, but it's not worth it. It's not worth it. For this build, especially where I'm going for numbers, you want the cheaper, more effective tanks. Terminator is fantastic. I absolutely, honestly, one of my favorite units. So obviously I've got it in this deck. You want the Terminator 1 setup with the grenade launchers. These are 30 mil, I believe. Yeah, 30 mil grenade launchers. You get a pair of them shooting out of here. They are fantastic. Absolutely worth the 20 points. Although the Terminator 2 does look cooler. So hey, depends what you like. I have put the additional armor on it just to give it that extra 1 hit point and just increase the side protection, because these things are to deal with infantry, which means getting up a bit close and personal, and when your heat protection is 600, that's good, but 800's much better. So you definitely want Terminators upgraded, because it's only an extra 30 points to max them out. I mean, 160 compared to 190 is the tiniest difference, but you get much better firepower and protection. So how this deck works is big Soviet assault with tanks across the field, these on the sides, and one in the middle as well to deal with infantry, along with these armoured vehicles to deal with helicopters on the front line, but they are supported by 4 Panzers. These Tunguska modules with the Panzer upgrade are fantastic. Honestly, they have killed so many helicopters and aircraft for me that I absolutely love them. These cannons are lethal, even to infantry, and they will shred small vehicles apart. There's 2 of them with the fire rate. I mean, magazine 400, and the fire rate is like insane. I haven't got a number for it, but these are fantastic. Honestly, absolutely love them. Best SHORAD in the game by far, no doubt about it. Supporting them is, by the way, if you do have it as the Tunguska setup, obviously it becomes a lot cheaper, but these missiles, they're not very good. I don't have much success with them at all. You want this setup, for sure. Now, supporting my big armoured column, which will be advancing in a line, spread out, obviously, are these super cheap mortars. Now, I wouldn't bring these in a push. I bring these basically if there's a massive stalemate that I just can't work around. What I bring instead is these 6 of them supporting fire. For example, entrenched infantry or blobs of enemy units. And the reason you have these is because they are automatic mortars, which means that they actually have a magazine size of 4. So the fire rate on these is fantastic. Very quick aim time, very quick reload time anyway, but 4 shells in 1 magazine is just fantastic. As you can see, they've literally just bolted on a field artillery gun onto the top of an armoured vehicle. Very, very cool by the Soviets. And yeah, this is just great. When you get all 6 of them firing an 82mm mortar shell onto a position, it will absolutely wipe it out. Now next you've got the Ante. Now this is obviously a fantastic anti-aircraft vehicle. It's got the longest effective range, I think, and it has the highest damage. With the default setup, it's got the highest damage. I mean, look at those fucking huge tubes. That's a big boy rocket that it fires. Now you can upgrade this for essentially to get 4 missiles, which have the same damage, but they've got a shorter effective range. Yeah, in reality, these things fire for 40 kilometers comfortably, by the way, making it one of the deadliest anti-airs in the world. Okay, comfortably is an overstatement. It's like 20 kilometers effective range, 30 high hit probability, and 40 maximum range. In all fairness, I over-exaggerated there. There's the clarification. I wonder, what's the paint scheme? Oh. Very boring. Cool, anyway, sorry. I like to have it on the default because obviously it's cheaper for starters, but also you can just bring them out at the start to cover the air battle. And I don't actually mind just recharging it all the time. It's a bit of micro, but when my attack happens, I will be fully relying on these Panzers to be on these Tunguska modules to destroy any helicopters. And when you do a big armored push, helicopters is what the enemy is guaranteed to retaliate with. Now, supply is not the best in this deck, and to be honest, I'm expecting my units to die. I'm not expecting to be able to resupply them in time at all. However, for supply, I've got these. They're not too bad. They're kind of slow, but not terrible. But they bring a lot of supply. They're pretty good. They can't transport any units, but these are actually decent all-round supply machines. Like I said earlier, I only bring this in a kind of desperate situation where I've lost half my army and we're bogged down in a standstill and there's nothing else I can do. So these are last resort. Obviously, I've got a lot of points for the supply deck, which is basically the only reason I brought them. I tried these. These are cool, but they're not very good and they're very slow. And the shells do a lot of damage, but there's only 8 of them. And the fire rate is so slow that you'd rather have these fire a few more times instead. The other big supply machine I've got is this, and the only reason I bring it is because it can have a shit ton of infantry. Not that you'd ever use it because it's just so painfully slow, but it can go across water, which this cannot. So for any water crossings, that's literally the only reason I have this. And on the way back, maybe it can pick up a downed pilot or something like that. So that's the supply tab, which basically as you can see, there's no helicopter tab to talk about, which is, you might be thinking, crazy, what? But when you're doing an attack, usually they're going to have a lot of anti-air, especially the closer you get to their backlines, and they're going to bring out fighters to deal with your helicopters. So I would much rather have 4 of these than any helicopters of my own, because the tanks will be able to deal with anything head-on, so you don't need a helicopter for that, and this will rip apart helicopters without skipping a heartbeat. These are fantastic. So that is how I've built the deck. It is an assault. It is a Russian-styled ground attack. Teammates obviously occasionally do help out with their own helis and own air support, but I've got a bit of my own air support, which, to be honest, I don't think is that effective. So what I have is the SU-25M. The M version compared to the other version basically has 5% more ECM. It is a decent bit of kit, but it's not fantastic. I mean, I've got anti-radiation missiles, which is what I have on it. I used to have these because I thought, wow, 4,000 mile range, and yeah, they work like cruise missiles. I thought that they would work like guided rockets that would lock onto targets, especially with this little targeting system or radar, whatever they have actually built into here. However, no, they are just fire and forget at 4,000. Sorry, not fire and forget. They are just cruise missiles at 4,000 meters, 4 kilometers. So they're not great. The amount of damage they do is fantastic, but you need a direct hit in order to be able to actually deliver that damage. So I'd rather have these anti-radiation missiles on them. I've got this set up just because literally I thought I'd have 1 strike aircraft and 1 fighter aircraft, which I could potentially change out to 2 fighters instead. That'd probably be the better move, in all honesty. But I'll keep this just in case they manage to get behind into my backlines, and then at least I can do a bit of damage myself. The fighter, as we quickly saw earlier, is this really cool. It looks better in its navy. That's a Russian naval ensign. Even though obviously this is not a navy deck, it looks better in its navy colors though, so let's put that on. And I like it because it has got 3 different missiles, which means that these 2 with the longer range, so that's 5,000 and 7,000 meters respectively, they will fire at the same time, given that the target is in range. So 2 missiles chased in an aircraft is much better than 1. The R-73s to deal with any helicopters. I could potentially put some more R-73s. However, it becomes... I mean, it's an expensive plane for what it is anyway, considering it doesn't have any ECM. If I do put ECM on it, it becomes a very expensive bird that I won't be able to afford. I won't be able to afford to put 2 of them in the deck anyway, which is what I'd do if I wanted to have the expensive version. So I'm keeping the cost down as much as I can by, again, basically the cheapest or almost cheapest missile in each on each pylon. And it is a decent plane. For the price that it does, it serves the purpose that I need it to serve, which is why, and I mean, I'm not spoilt for choice. I need two bits of air power in this build, and I've got a strike craft and a fighter. And that is literally all I can do. I don't have much flexibility, but like I said, the main focus of this deck is to take ground. Large open spaces. It is not for urban combat, definitely not. And it is fun. This deck is fantastic at doing what I needed to do. So it's a very interesting assault, or Sturm in Russian build, and I highly recommend it for having a bit of fun in doing a big all-out Soviet push towards the end of Phase 2. Thanks for watching, I hope you enjoyed my deck, and I hope I'll see you next time. Bye bye.